Hello, it's Deborah from the attic, and today I have the latest kit from Tonic. This is kit number 19, and I'm going to start with the cardstock. As always, there are 5 pieces of cardstock in matching shades. There's a buff, a textured, a pearlised, heavily embossed and pearlised, and generally gorgeous. That's beautiful. I'm very much looking forward to using that card. And then there are loads of goodies in the box. We have a tape runner, which is solid clear tape, and it runs for 8 meters. There is a smooth precision glue pen. There is a glitter marker. Now I will show you this because I have primed this pen. To prime it, you shake it and then you take off the end. You can see I've primed it, has ink in it, and you just gently depress it onto a piece of card until the ink runs into the nib. But I will show you that on black card in a moment. There is a lovely little notepad in grey which matches beautifully with the colours of this month's kit. There are some vintage drops. These are the ones that create a lovely beautiful dome shape, and this is Dusty Rose. And in this little jar are loads of really pretty jewels, little faceted jewels in a sort of a dusty rose, which will be beautiful to stick onto your projects. The cardstock in this pad is beautiful. This is a 6x6 pad. There are 4 colours and there are 6 of each colour, and because I didn't want to blind you under the lights with the Miri card, I've separated out some of the pages. So these are the 2 Miri cards, one in silver, one in a sort of a gold blush, and then these are the matte versions in silver and gold. And well, it's a sort of I say gold, it's rose, and it's absolutely stunning, and it's got a really nice metallic look to it. As always, in the folder there are loads of stamps and dies, and the stamps in this set have some very nice sentiments, like handsome, beautiful, for you, very nice sentiments. And the dies, there are so many of these that I thought it would be easier if I cut some of them out and showed you how they look, and I'll also show you how the glitter pen and the little Nouveau drops look. This is how the dies look when they're cut out. So one says with love, dream, just believe, hello, and hello here. So there's a die which will cut out this shape within your card if you don't want to cut out the whole sentiment, or there's also a die that will cut out around the outside. So you have the choice of how you use the die. The stamps are also have a die which will cut around the outside of them, and I've shown that here. I've stamped out follow your, and I've found the die that goes around the outside and I've just cut it out. The other thing that I've done on this black card is I've shown you how that beautiful glitter pen works, and I've also put some of the Nouveau drops there so you can see what they look like, and then this is how they look on a piece of white cardstock. So that's what we have in our kit this month. Let's make some cards. Our first card is going to be very quick and simple. I've taken a piece of the grey pearlised textured paper cut down. I've cut down the word dream using my die cutter, and I'm going to mat and layer this onto a piece of that beautiful plum coloured cardstock underneath. The 2 glues are very helpful here because the glue pen allows me to get into the detail of that cut out word, and then to go around the outside edge I can use the tape runner that was included in the kit, and that way you've got detail and you've got quick instant tack, so it's really easy to make sure that all of this card, all the elements of this card, are glued down properly on your base card. I'm just sticking that in the middle. I like the contrast against the grey of that plum, a little ribbon of plum top and bottom of that word, and I'm just going to trim off the excess. I'm going to take a white side folding card, although you could use a top folding card as well, and once I've stuck my upper design onto my base card, my card is complete. For my second card, I'm taking strips of the cardstock that were included in the kit, and I'm sticking these side by side, trying to make sure that I don't have any white space showing between the strips of colour. This is a square card, as you'll see, and that's because I wanted to use with love to cut from a square card. I think it looks good as a square. I've got a piece of the cardstock from the paper pack, and I haven't used a ruler to help me cut the centre of this out square because I didn't want the ruler to damage the texture of that piece of card. It's quite easy if you get a nail mark in there to change the texture, so that's why I've just done it freehand, and I've reserved the central piece. I'm going to use some craft foam, which I use a lot of, as you'll know if you've seen other videos of mine. And I use this because I find it really cheap and easy to create depth and dimension, and this is what I've done with this card, so that it's not going to be a shaker card, although you could make this a shaker card, of course, if you wanted. I've chosen just to let the lettering hover above the coloured background. And once that's all glued down, our card is complete. Our third card is going to use this word hello several times. I've cut this out 3 times already, and I've used the inside and the outer as well. I'm using my glue pen again to make sure that I get into each of the little details, because I'm going to layer up these 3 sentiments. I want something that's going to be a little bit stronger than just paper, and that is going to have a little bit of depth. So I'll stick all 3 of those on top of each other. I've taken a plain white side folding card, and I've got a piece of the grey from the paper pack along with some of that beautiful embossed pearlised grey. I can't get enough of that, I think it's beautiful. And I'm going to layer these up with the tape runner. I'm sticking them together because I actually want to cut them together. So I'm going to take my ruler and pencil and just mark exactly where I want this to cut. I want the pointed end on the right to finish exactly at the base of the card. Luckily that card is thin enough that you can cut them together, it's absolutely fine. I'm going to glue this into position there. You can see that point goes right to the edge of the card. I'm going to take my hello word that is now nice and dimensional because it has 3 layers. I'm going to stick that in place, and I'm also going to add some of those beautiful embellishments. And with that, the card is complete. For card 4, I'm going to ink up one of the sentiments. This is the one that says follow your, and I'm going to cut this out using the external, I don't know how to describe it, but that outer die cut that will cut out the shape of that word. I'm going to seal that in position using a piece of repositionable tape. Then when I run it through my Sizzix die cutter, what I'm left with when I remove the die is this beautiful shape that follows the words. It's really, really good fun. I'm taking some of the pearlised card and I'm going to cut through twice using the outer of the word die, or the die that goes around the words. I need to figure out a way to explain that, but hopefully you can understand from the pictures. So now I have 2 layers plus my sentiment, and I'm going to glue those on top of each other. I want to position my sentiment in such a way that you can see some of that pink pearlised background. So I'm going to slightly off-centre it, and using the glue pen and that liquid glue allows me time to position it and then shift it ever so slightly if I need to before the glue sticks it solidly. That's my second layer going on. Now I have the word dream cut out 3 times, and I have a white side folding card, and I have some matting and layering going on with the pearlised card and again that beautiful grey card. I'm going to stick the pearlised background on first, just leaving a little bit of white around the outside edge, and then the grey card is cut slightly smaller again so that way you can see the pearlised edge. I'm going to take the word dream and I'm going to position it so that I have 2 at the bottom and 1 at the top. That will leave me room to add my written sentiment later on, and I'm using my glue pen again. I've used that to stick down all 3 of those dream words, and I'm using it now to add my sentiment that was stamped out. So this now reads, this whole card reads, follow your dreams. I know dream doesn't have an S on the end, but it's there 3 times, so that's how I'm interpreting it. And I've taken my glitter pen to run around the outside edge of my white base card, because this will then create a link between the stamped black words and the outside of the cards, and it will hold the whole design together. Moving on to card 5, I'm going to take the word believe and I'm going to add the outer die around that word. I'm going to fix the dies together in place using some repositionable tape, and I'm going to run it through my Sizzix die cutter, and I'm going to do this twice so that I have 2 cut out words reading believe. I'm going to use one of those words on a card cut from the same colour to help me position my sentiment stamp. And the sentiment that I've chosen is in yourself, so that eventually the card will read believe in yourself. Now I'm going to take the word believe and I'm going to use my glue pen and I'm going to stick that down on the card. I'm only sticking down the first of these believe words, and the reason why will become clear in just a moment. When I'm gluing detailed things like this down in the centre of a card, I find it really useful to use one of my stamp blocks just to make sure I don't get sticky fingers. And I'm using the word as a stencil. So I've taken the glitter pen and I'm adding glitter into all those little gaps that will help spell out the word believe. Now the reason for having two is because when I go over the edges of this, not the outside edges, the inside edges, it can get messy. You can't help but get the ink from the pen on some of the elements of the word that would make it more difficult to read what the word is. So that the second word, believe, that was die cut, then goes straight over the top and it keeps those edges of your words and your letters sharp. And again, I'm using my stamp block to make sure that is sealed down properly. I've got a white top folding card and I've cut out a piece of the silver sort of mirror card and I'm using that as a mattable layer, and I'm not showing you how I glue all that in position because the mirror card will just glare at you. Now I've taken two of the little elements, those little jeweled elements, and I'm sticking those on either side of the word in words in yourself, but they don't quite match with the card. So again, I've taken my glitter pen and I'm colouring those in so that they have a dark shimmer to them, and that ties in much better with the black text. And once that's done and left to dry, our card is complete. I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this video useful, and until we meet again, take care.